God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and coming now and forever. Eloheinu v'Elahei Avotenu v'Imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors. When the last soldier passes, when armies are disbanded, militias discharged, when weapons are abandoned and armor discarded, your mission will at last be over. For you know the soldier's secret. Yours was not a mission of war, nor a mission of ruin. Yours was not a mission of destruction, nor a mission of death. Your mission was safety, security, protection. Your mission was honor, loyalty, service. Your mission was to end violence, tyranny, despair. When the last soldier passes on, when uniforms are retired and the final grave filled, we will remember all who served and sacrificed for our nation. Until then, God of old, watch over our soldiers, watch over our veterans, renew their courage, rebuild their strength, heal their wounds, bind their hearts with your steadfast love, remember them, bless them, sustain them, and give them peace. I happened upon this story that was published recently by the Reform Movement of Judaism as told by Rabbi David Ellenson and Shalom Lamb. And when I read it, I thought this was appropriate for our day today. When the telegram arrived, we all knew what that meant. My parents didn't speak English, though, so I went inside and read it to them. You can imagine that it was a very tough day. That's 99-year-old Harry Cordova's recollection of an event that happened 79 years ago, when he had to tell his parents, immigrants from Turkey, that his older brother Sam was one of the first U.S. soldiers killed fighting Japanese forces in the Pacific during World War II. Corporal Sam Cordova was 23 years old when he was killed in action at Corregidor on December 29th, 1941. Lieutenant General Jonathan Wainwright surrendered the Philippine island 5 months later, making it the largest capitulation of U.S. forces in American history. Corregidor was recaptured by victorious U.S. troops in February 1945. One can only imagine the increasingly desperate condition of U.S. soldiers without any resupply, as the wrenching decision was made in Washington, D.C., to focus on a war in Europe at that stage, essentially sacrificing the U.S. soldiers in the Pacific theater. Soldiers killed in action were hastily buried, as survival became the paramount concern. Following the war, the U.S. government undertook the enormous and costly task of gathering all of her war dead for burial in magnificent national cemeteries around the world. Unfortunately, despite the extraordinary lengths our government went to ensure accuracy, mistakes were made. Hundreds of Jewish soldiers were buried in error under a Latin cross. It's estimated that 400 to 500 Jews remain interred under incorrect markers. 2 years ago, Operation Benjamin was founded to replace with a Star of David the headstones of Jews buried under a cross. 75 years after these soldiers made the ultimate sacrifice in the cause of democracy and freedom, time to give them the menucha nechona, a proper resting, the proper resting spot in keeping with whom they were in life, Jews, reuniting them with their ancestral faith. We have seen now over and over again how erecting the Star of David provides comfort to families of the fallen. The work of Project Benjamin also enables millions of visitors to the American military cemeteries to see and to appreciate the shared sacrifice of Jewish soldiers like Corporal Sam Cordova that they have made in defense of liberty and freedom to all humankind. Sam was not the only member of his Sephardic family to die in action. His nephew, Marine Corps Captain Sam Gary Cordova, named in his memory, was killed in action when his Phantom F-4 jet was shot down over Laos in August of 1972. When Operation Benjamin contacted the Cordova family to tell them they discovered Corporal Sam Cordova buried under a cross, Harry Cordova, only one of the 8 brothers still living, and aware in the 1940s of his brother's burial under that Christian symbol, said, "We didn't know why he had been buried under a cross, but we didn't know we could do anything to correct that mistake." Despite the pandemic, the American Battle Monuments Commission and Operation Benjamin worked together tirelessly to have the ceremony take place in Manila, Philippines on December 29th, 2020, 79 years to the day after Sam had been killed in action. Harry told the assembled dignitaries that day and members of the local Jewish community, "We are a proud Sephardic Jewish family. Some of us have lived for this country, and some of us have died for it." Members of the Manila Jewish community, along with the highest ranking diplomats of the US and Israeli embassies, attended that ceremony to honor Corporal Cordova. After the ceremony, the mourner's Kaddish was also recited at the grave of Private Ralph Greenstein, another Jewish soldier who had been mistakenly interred under a cross after the war. His headstone will be replaced when international travel to the Philippines resumes. Operation Benjamin today is grateful for the opportunity to perform the mitzvah of setting the historical record straight by honoring these soldiers with an appropriate burial, and most importantly, in performance of the act of the genuine loving kindness of Chesed Shel Emes. May Corporal Sam Cordova's memory always be for a blessing. How important in times of today, with increasing anti-Semitism, that people recognize the heroic virtue of our people, those who gave their lives in defense of the values of our country, defense of their brothers and sisters, Christian, Jewish, ever faith, who were Americans. That's what it means to be a Jew in this country. And that's what Sam Cordova represented, a Jew from Turkey who made this his home. In his spirit, we say prayers to ask God to protect his soul, to protect the soul of all those veterans, all those who served in our armed forces, whose lives have been lost. Moed Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Chamsei Menucha Nechona Al Kanfei Shechina, B'ma'alot Kedoshim U'Toharim Gezohar Harakia Mazirim. Et nishmot achenu anshe hachayal, asher he'elu lemavet nafsham ba'ad artsenu u'lecherut ha'olam. Lechein ba'al harachamim yestirein, beseter kanafecha le'olamim. Yitzor b'tzor ha'chayim et nishmatam, im nishmot hatzadikim ha'omdim lefanecha. V'haya Ma'asehem Hatzdaka Shalom Uvetach Al Olam. Lo Yisagoy Al Goy Charev, Velo Yimaldu Od Milchama. Nigla Kavod Arnai Vara'u Chol Basar V'dam Chaydav. Ut Hi Menuchato Kavod. Va Simchot Et Fanecha Neimot Biamencha Netzach v'nomar, Amen. God on high and in our hearts, grant reassuring peace under the cover of your presence to all the men and women who gave their lives in defense of our country and for the freedom of our world. Shelter them among the righteous souls who are as radiant as the luminous firmament, source of compassion. May we continue to feel their touch on our souls. Hasten the day when peace, security shall prevail, when nation shall not lift up sword against nation. There shall be no need to prepare for war. When the day come when the world will stand together as one. May the memory of our fallen brothers and sisters serve as an inspiration to us, as a comfort to all their loved ones. And let us together say, Amen. Since the last time we gathered for Memorial Day prayers, 20 American soldiers, 20 individuals in our military have lost their lives. On one level, we think it's a small number. And compared to years past, previous, it has decreased. We can give thanks for that reality. But it's still 20 families that have lost a loved one, 20 friends who have buried a loved one. And the impact of one life, we all understand what that means for each of those families, for each of those lives. Now compound that with all the years that we can count in our lives, and we understand the numbers of those loved that we have lost, who have lived the values that are a part of our world, the part of this country, that are the best of what this country has to offer, and we understand as well. Tradition tells us, in honoring a loved one, we say words of Kaddish. Of course, the Kaddish nowhere mentions death. In a sense, it's an affirmation of life. It praises God for the gift of life. Standing with soldiers, remembering those whose lives have been taken from our world, well, we give thanks for freedom. We give thanks for democracy. We give thanks to these gifts that God has given to us that we hold on to and we continue to cherish and pass along as well. But we give praise to the fact that our lives are here and what we do with the words that we speak, the honor that we can remember. In that spirit, do we rise together if we're so able? And if you'll join with me in words of Kaddish at this time. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalma divra chirate v'yamich malchute b'chayachon u'yomechon u'chaye d'cho beit Yisrael Bagala ubizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach alam ame amaya yit barach v'yish tabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit raman v'yit naseh v'yit adar v'yit aleh v'yit alal shemei hudesha b'rechu le'ela minko birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata ta'miram v'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mramav Huya Aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. The source of peace. Send peace to those who mourn, comfort to those who are bereaved here and everywhere. And let us together say, Amen.
Present arms. Order, arms. Everybody please remain. We're trying to take one group picture of everybody. So if you all these guys move out there,